Hi everyone, I've got a bit of a cold this week, but hopefully you can hear me okay, so that I can answer Amy's question, which is about how I prepare myself for when I do group work and public speaking. So this is a great question, Amy, and a lot of it, the preparation actually happens quite a little bit of time before the actual event itself. So obviously you set up a reason why you're doing it, and that's something that I focus on constantly when I'm preparing myself in the days leading up to the event or program. So one of the great things about being an art therapist is that you need to pack all the materials in the car. So when I start doing that the morning of or the night before, that's when I start thinking about, well, what are we trying to achieve by doing this program, workshop or speaking? And when I'm driving in the car on my way, that's what I'm thinking about. It's about, okay, what am I about to do? Who are the people going to be there? What is needed of me? That type of thing. So just starting to think about what we're there to do. But before I start, one of the most important things that I do is actually get a little bit of time to myself. And if you can't physically get it to yourself, just go into yourself by having a glass of water or a drink or something like that. But what I do is stand there and think about, what are we here to achieve? What are the outcomes? What do they need of me? That type of thing as we go. So I'll stand there, set my intention, but really center myself, and most importantly, let the rest of the world go on hold for a little while. So that morning you might have got frustrated with the traffic, you might have had an argument with your partner, you might be frustrated that the dishes weren't done, you might be worried about the 500 things you've got to do after the workshop. Let them go on hold for a little while. Just put them aside so that you can be fully present to what you're actually there to achieve. And then we get in the flow of it. And once you start, so with group work, I usually do introductions first. So that's getting a feel for what's happening with the group, what's needed of me. So I'm observing and just taking notice of things, but also centering into myself. Sometimes it can be a bit of a rush getting everything organised. So it's so important just to have that minute or so where you just center and have a look at what you're there to do. Something else I do, and I do it for speaking as well, is to sit down and just quickly write some notes, some dot points on what we're going to do and the structure of the program. So for instance, you need to know, I've just done a 2-day program. I knew what order things were in, and I'm really prepared with that because there's flexibility within that, but it's really about the intention and what you're there to achieve. So writing down some dot points of the flow, or what are the key things that you're going to talk about. And the same goes for speaking. I basically have a similar routine. I used to have lots of notes when I would do speaking and prepare, have things word for word. I've learnt that that doesn't work for me. I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about, but there's flexibility to be authentically me within that. So I just, on my notes, have dot points. But also the PowerPoint or any visual aids that you have are great prompters for what you're about to do. So the actual preparation is very similar. I think about, what are we there to achieve? So for instance, in a couple of weeks, I've got 2 key notes. So one is about grief and loss, and the other one is about vicarious trauma. And so when I'm driving to that event, I'll be thinking about all of the concepts that I want to get across. What are the 3 take-home points that I want them to have? How is the structure going to work? What stories and examples am I going to use? So that all gets pulled together in the moment. So on my way, I'm preparing already, like I'm ready to get on stage and do that. So, but from a practical point of view, just getting a minute or so before you go on, whether it's group work, speaking, lecturing, whatever it is, and centering yourself. What are the outcomes that you need to have achieved, and how are you going to achieve them? But trusting yourself. It's very important to talk to yourself as well, and to know that you've got it. And that's quite often when things don't go well, is when you've become a bit overwhelmed or worried that you don't know enough and all of that stuff, rather than authentically being you. So as far as preparation goes, think about the outcomes, centering yourself. Whoops. Sorry, I just knocked the camera, so I went off air for a second, but we're back. The key to preparing yourself for workshops, group work and speaking is just mentally getting into that space of what you're there to achieve, but also centering yourself and being fully present by letting the rest of the world go on hold for a while. I'd love to hear your tips about what are some of the things you do to prepare, as well as some questions. So please keep them coming, pop them down below, as well as any other comments that you have. But I look forward to seeing you guys again next Monday.